What fan theory do you 100% accept as true? The reason each It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode starts with a date and time is because
they're all testifying against each other in court.
The Empire Strikes Back.
Admiral Ozzel is a rebel spy. Everything Ozzel does in his brief bits of screen time is to the detriment of the Empire. When the probe droid finds the rebel shield generator,
Ozzel tries to dismiss it as smugglers before Pete speaks out of turn and gets Vader involved. Later, Ozzel orders the fleet out of hyperspace too quickly, giving the rebels plenty of time to activate the aforementioned shield generator that Ozzel knew
about. Clumsy as he is stupid, or rebel sympathizer who gave his life to give the Alliance as much time to
evacuate their base as possible, I side on the latter.
The town from Footloose is the same town from Tremors. The ban on dancing wasn't a puritanical attempt to control the youth. The town elders were aware of the graboid threat
and banned dancing out of the fear that it would cause rhythmic vibrations waking up the creatures
sleeping below the town. Kevin Bacon's character in Footloose stayed in the town,
growing up to be his character in Tremors,
at which point he has to try and contain the danger he inadvertently released.
The Jetsons and the Flintstones are living at the same time in a dystopian future where the haves live above the cloud and the have-nots are stuck on a wasted Earth. The signs include that Flintstones celebrate things like Christmas and other holidays, which doesn't make sense, and the Great Gazoo alien appears in both series. In Disney's Ratatouille, the old lady in the beginning of the movie living in the house next to the river is the food critic, Anton Ego's mother. In the flashback scene where he eats the ratatouille, you can see similarities of the house from the beginning. Her face and I think the bridge. Miguel and Telio may not be gods, but the armadillo that follows them around absolutely is. It's just helping them out because they saved it from being eaten. Little late to the game. But the theory is that the kyber crystal in Luke's green lightsaber is the same one from Qui-Gon Jinn's. After Kenobi defeats Darth Maul with his master's lightsaber, he would have kept it as a keepsake. Despite rebuilding his own saber, it's likely he would have retrieved it and kept it with him after the Order 66 attack. After the Empire takes over, they destroy all artifacts and memory of the Jedi in their purge of changing the history. And most kyber crystals go towards powering the Death Star. Because of this, any lightsaber crystal would have been very difficult for Luke to find after he loses the Skywalker saber. But we know he returns to Tatooine to complete his new lightsaber, likely returning to Ben Kenobi's home for components, where he would have found Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber and recycled its crystal. Glinda dropped Dorothy's house on the Wicked Witch of the East, not the tornado, and uses her to gain control of Oz. One of the first things Glinda tells Dorothy is that she killed the witch. They praise her so she'll accept it. And when the Witch of the West comes along, who killed her sister, Dorothy, Glinda then puts the ruby slippers on Dorothy's feet but does not tell her that she can use them to go home. Instead, she sends Dorothy to Oz in possession of objects that a witch would murder her for. Dorothy, being forced into a situation where her only salvation is Oz and her worst enemy is the Queen, inadvertently exposes the Wizard of Oz as a fraud and murders the Witch of the West. Now, who's left to rule Oz? Glinda fucking Witch of the North. She used Dorothy as an expendable pawn to gain control of Oz without having to leave her bubble. And when Dorothy is done upheaving the two biggest powers in Oz, Glinda sends her home and makes her think it was all a dream. The real world in the Matrix movies is just another layer of the Matrix, designed specifically to appeal to people unwilling to conform to the normal matrix.
Humans in this outer matrix have confirmation of their belief that something was wrong,
and get to indulge in the fantasy of being a heroic freedom fighter against the faceless evil
machines, thus choosing to accept this false reality.
The anomaly of the One is that he's capable of rejecting both realities,
which is the reason why he had powers in the real world. That Loki was controlled by the Tesseract more than he let on.
His eyes glowed multiple times and he shed a tear when Thor tried to talk sense into him. Robb Stark died twice, first in his own body, and second in Grey Winds. He had a chance to see Aya moments before his death. Pokédex entries are written by young trainers.
When a professor sends a bunch of 10-year-olds out into the world to document Pokémon. Of course the research can't be expected to be professional in the least. This is how we end up with the creepy legends of ghost Pokémon that might have been passed around as playground rumors. Or impossible facts like Macago being hotter than the actual sun.
There's no reason why out of all the Pokémon professors, one of them couldn't have revised their dex information and correct the tidbit about Pidgeot breaking the speed of light, or Gardevoir creating black holes, or Blaziken's jumping over 30-story buildings. It's likely they leave the kids to their own devices without bothering to fact-check.
And kids, being kids, are going to exaggerate. James Bond's primary purpose is to be a distraction to keep attention off the spies who actually spy.
Villains and other spies know him.
He rarely takes an alias.
He makes his presence known early on and keeps messing up operations for the villains.
But other spies have already infiltrated their ranks and work while Bond does as much visible
damage as possible to keep the others safe.
I 100% believe the two men accompanying the woman in the original Blair Witch Project planned and successfully executed a plan to murder her while they were deep in the woods.
Too many factors point to good old-fashioned murder than a supernatural occurrence.
Edit. I'm referring to the characters of the film,
not the actors. Realized my language might be a bit ambiguous.
Red Alert 1's Allied victory results in the Red Alert 2/3 universe.
Red Alert 1's Soviet victory leads to the Tiberium universe. And #X200B. Debunked by the writers themselves IIRC. But that's how it'll always be for me. Event Horizon is a prequel to the Warhammer 40k universe.